Namaskar. We have in our last module seen about how people adapt to modern society. From now on, we will look at demography and population. First of all, in the module today, we would look at population growth. And we would particularly look at a model of growth, a model of change called demographic transition model. And this model is also a model about how the human population has been growing in the historical and modern times. If you look back into the evolution of human beings, the world is about 5 billion years old. But the human beings are very recent arrivals. The human beings came into being about 2 million years ago. In the last 200 years, human population has grown tremendously from 200 million about at the beginning of history and to about 7 billion now. It's a very dramatic change. It took nearly 12,000 years for the world population to grow to be 200 million in the beginning of 1st AD. But it took just about 2,000 years now for it to grow to be 7 billion. The world came to have the first billion population in 1800 AD. That is, between 1 AD and 1800 AD, the population grew tremendously to become 1 billion from just 200 million. If you look at the history, we may divide the history of human population growth as 3 technological eras. One era, the first era, can be considered as an era of tool making from the time human beings began to evolve into the human beings we are today. They've been progressing in their technology. They progress so much to be able to make tools. Tool making lasted maybe about 2 million years ago to until 5000 BC. That's a very long period of time in which human beings began to make tools. About 8,000 years ago, the world became agricultural. So he came to have a technological era which could be considered as agricultural era. Between 5000 BC and 1700 AD, about 6,000 to 7,000 years, human beings have been involved and engaged in agriculture, developing the tools for agriculture. It was in 1700, in the middle of the 1700s, that people became industrial. Industrial revolution began sometime in 1740. So from then on, we've been living in an industrial era, making very sophisticated technologies today. So human beings have been growing through these years. When he became agricultural, he came to be living in small villages. Of course, as you know, villages grew into big villages and small towns, into cities and big cities and metropolises and ecumenopolises today through agricultural and technological eras. And through these eras, human beings grew in numbers, literally in several billions. What are the factors behind such a tremendous population growth? I believe there are three basic and important factors which were responsible for human population growth of the dimension we are talking about. One is, of course, the fertility of women. The other is infant mortality. There was a time children, infants were dying in great numbers. And therefore there was need to have more children. And that resulted in increasing population. And as we progress economically, socially, and technologically, we have also become one to live longer than before. The longevity of human beings increased tremendously in the last 100 years because of the developments in medicine, medical technologies. So fertility, infant mortality, and longevity are perhaps the three important major factors that were behind the population growth of today. Of course, human beings began to do domestication of animals in order that he could use them in agriculture. And then came Industrial Revolution. With the Industrial Revolution came a number of different things. Particularly, cities came into being. Infrastructures came into being. Water, energy, and transportation became possible. And there was increased productivity. And there was increased and better nutrition and sanitation and medicine.